Guys, I'm really happy to have on the podcast Congressman Ken Buck. He's from Colorado's 4th District. He also serves in the House Judiciary Committee and the House Foreign Affairs Committee. And as I understand it, Ken, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining me. I understand you've recently made a trip to the border.
Yes, Congressman Andy Biggs and I are good friends, and I went down to Arizona with Andy and went down to the border, and really fascinating.
Yeah, give us an idea of what's happening down there, because from what I can see, I'm reviewing this on social media. There appears to be these caravans that are marching through Mexico. In some cases, scuffling with the Mexican police. It looks like they've got a front line of tough guys who fight with these cops. And they're making their way through Mexico to, I think in this case, the Texas border. Do you think the Biden administration is just essentially gone completely irresponsible on us and just letting this stuff come through and then just dispatch them in the middle of them? What's really going on down there?
It's fascinating. I think the Biden administration, there are two factors at play here. One, they are incredibly jealous of the Trump administration, and everything the Trump administration did, they're trying to undo just for the sake of undoing it. And then secondly, they're incredibly incompetent. They see the mass of people coming across this southern border, the most ever in the history of the United States. And they have the fence and the wall, the fence, the barrier in place. They can put that up and they can slow this tide, but they don't. Well, I actually saw contractors sitting in their trailers. I saw the pieces of the wall to be finished. And the Biden administration has told the contractors to stand down. They're getting paid, but they're just not doing anything because the Biden administration doesn't want to finish the wall. Unbelievable.
Now, when you say they're incompetent, Ken, do you mean by that they don't want to put up the wall because to do so would be to concede that Trump had a point, that, in other words, they don't want the images of these of these migrants being blocked by a wall? Rather, what they want is the contrast with that is they want the humanitarian notion that these people are welcome to this country, because it seems like many of them feel like they're almost invited to come.
Oh, I think they are invited. In fact, they are invited. We saw actually literature that the cartels give these people in foreign countries, inviting them to come up and for a fee, cross into the United States. So they are invited. And certainly the message from the Biden administration is we're not going to stop the cartels from bringing you in. But the tragedy here, Dinesh, is that so many of these young women who are being brought up are raped along the way. We actually saw day after birth control that they are forced to take so that they don't get pregnant as they are leaving the cartel's custody and are turned over to the Border Patrol. It's absolutely terrifying in terms of its humanitarian disaster that's being caused at the border.
One thing that puzzles me is I thought that there was a court decision out of Texas that was affirmed by an appellate court that in effect said that Biden has got to return to Trump's remain in Mexico policy. Is it that the Biden people are flagrantly ignoring that? Are they slow walking it? What happened to remain in Mexico?
Well, I think they're ignoring remain in Mexico. There were agreements with Guatemala and other countries to return citizens. Those agreements are being ignored. There are really, and frankly, I've talked to the leaders in Guatemala. They don't want this migration. They're losing the best and brightest in Guatemala, and they don't want these people coming north either. So it's really not just America's problem. This is a problem that Latin America feels just as much as we do. But yes, I think the Biden administration has made a decision that they want these people in this country, and they're going to ignore the things that the Trump administration did that were successful, and they will slow walk whatever the courts tell them to slow walk so that they can continue this pattern.
What is the politics of this, Ken? It seems to me, you have Let's take the simple fact that the Justice Department is negotiating with a group of illegals to pay up to $450,000 apiece to these illegals. These were supposedly families separated under Trump. And this is more than some of the 9/11 families got. It's more than military families get when you lose a loved one. So just leaving aside the sheer kind of preposterousness of this, Isn't it obvious that the optics of this are politically disastrous? The American people go, this is insanity that these people are doing. Why would a Biden administration that's already not exactly popular with the American people forge ahead with policies that are sort of kicking the ground out from under them politically?
Yeah, and I have to agree with you, Dinesh. This is an issue that is really simmering. It is an issue that I hear as the number one issue in my district and in the state of Colorado. When people are coming to me and talking to me after public events, this is the issue they raise. The Afghanistan crisis and really debacle was publicized, and people debated the merits of withdrawing quickly and how many troops to leave on the ground. This is something that people feel like no one's paying attention to them, and it is really something that they are so upset with, and it will haunt the Democrats in the next election.
So is it part of what you're saying, I think, is that they've got a window. It's a little bit like what's going on with the infrastructure bill. It seems like their point is, listen, we've got a narrow window of opportunity between now and the midterm. Let's just push, push, and push and get as much of it as we can. Even if we take a beating next year, we're going to give these policy considerations priority over the political calculations.
And it's one of the things that the Democrats do really well. And I say well, I don't like it, but they do it well. When they're in power, they push their agenda through, knowing that they will lose power. And then the next time they get in power, they push it through again. The Republicans, and I'm part of this, refuse to take back the ground that we lost while the Democrats are in power. So we won't cut spending, even though the Build Back Better program and the infrastructure bill and all the other programs are terrible. We won't cut spending when we're in power, and we won't deal with this other than stopping more migrants from coming here illegally. We won't start a deportation process to right the wrong that's occurred during the Biden administration.
That's fascinating. What you're saying is the Democrats know that these things become a fait accompli, a done deal, and that they'll be secured for the future. When we come back, I want to ask Ken Buck about what should we do about these giant digital corporations?